Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Hey.
Good morning from Clearwater, Florida.
Oh my gosh.
Feels good to be home.
I am so happy to be home. I actually took a photo of myself last night and I meant to post it on Facebook and didn't get around to doing that. But yeah, I super happy to be back. It is before we left, we're in Clearwater, Florida, and it's been kind of warm out here. And so when we left a month and a half ago, we set the temperature at about 85. It was 85 when we walked in. So quickly turned up the AC and got everything cranking. But oh my gosh, so happy to be back in our own studio,
right?
Too. Got everything all set up and we're ready to rock and roll.
We didn't get a pre-broadcast out this morning, but that's okay.
So that's because, we're just like, hey, honey, we should probably wash some clothes. Hey, honey. And then by the time I said, hey, Jim, did you do the pre-broadcast thing?
Yeah.
It was too late. Yeah. So sorry about not getting the pre-broadcast warning on all of our Facebook.
Warning.
Yes. Yeah. That we were going to be going live. And, so just, great, beautiful drive. We had the opportunity to swing into New Orleans. I'd never really been there. And had lunch at a place called the Ruby Slipper. It was kind of brunch. And it was really cool to see their story about why it was called the Ruby Slipper, because it had been destroyed by Katrina and that their team and their owners just wanted to go back home. And so it was a tribute, the Ruby Slipper. They changed the name to that just as a tribute to Wizard of Oz.
Right.
I just want to go home. And so it's now open and highly recommend for brunch. It was really delicious.
Especially for a Cajun brunch.
For a Cajun brunch. Yeah, absolutely.
So we had in mind to take on a new subject today. Hi, Bill Elizondo. Good to have you here. And then here comes Tommy Brandis. Tommy says, make it a great show. He must be stepping out. But so we're going to take on a new series today. And we're going to do, because it's the first day of the week.
And it's also the first day of the month. And we're home and we're settled and all of that.
Yeah. So the first just happens to fall on a Monday, which is our first day of August. So it's a good time for us to take on a subject, and we're going to do every Monday in the month of August. We're going to talk about what we call Management Monday. And we think this could be really useful to a lot of our listeners out there.
Just kind of testing it out for the month of August. So, if this is like good quality content, you guys let us know, because we can continue this each month.
Yeah. So here's what I can tell you. It's going to be quality
content. It's going to be quality content.
It's going to be valuable stuff. And the reason this even came up for us is we know that on our travels, we meet a lot of people that struggle to manage their day. A lot of folks don't work from a calendar, and we just meet a lot of people that are kind of struggling, whether it's a dealer principal, general manager. We see people in kind of top management that sometimes find it difficult to keep up with all the stuff, and they always kind of have a frantic way of life. And when you travel like we do and you work with a lot of different people, you start to recognize some characteristics.
Yeah, it's an epidemic.
Yeah,
amongst
that's a good
dealers.
way to say it.
Yeah.
So we kind of thought, well, we have some ideas. I mean, we often end up making suggestions to dealers who find themselves in that position. And look, it's time management is a difficult thing in and of itself. Like there are folks out there who struggle to do it. And we understand that. I personally struggle to work very well from a calendar. So, it's part of what sometimes, can be part of the adjustment for folks. But I think what we're going to try to do in the month of August is give some really very real tips, very actionable tips that people can use to start to chip away at some of these things and really have an impact. I know that you had mentioned yesterday, after reading some of James Clear's stuff on Atomic Habits.
And I'll mention again at the end of the broadcast, a book that I have read multiple times because it's that impactful on just a micro level.
Right.
And it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And so, if y'all are thinking about getting a new audiobook or reading a new book for there's a lot of people out there that are like the self-help junkie kind of things, but yeah, that's a really, really impactful one.
Yeah. They talk about habit stacking
yeah.
in there. And so that's an important technique that people can use to
Yeah.
be more effective.
So the main topic for the month of August is seize the day.
Right.
So we're gonna in the Manager Monday segments, we're gonna be talking about seizing your day, seize the day. So many dealers that we talk to, as Jim mentioned, they use words like overwhelmed, and or oh my gosh, fires. I'm putting out fires all day long.
Firefighting.
That you just don't have time. I mean, how many times have we set up a discovery call or something like that, and we've had to reschedule it multiple times because it's like there's something happens and something happens and something happens. And it's across the board that we kind of see this happen from dealers across the board. Carpe diem.
There you go. Yeah.
Seize the day.
Yeah. So, I think as we've traveled, and listen, I was a dealer myself for 7 years with a finance company. Nobody recognizes better than Michelle and myself the challenges that we have in Buy Here Pay Here that some other businesses wouldn't have. I always say it like there's just a lot of balls to keep in the air. Like, if it's a juggling act, you have multiple departments. You have collections, you have all these other pieces, and we certainly get it. We recognize it, but because of that, we need to get better. Most of us at getting, on top of our day. And so at part of what kind of set this conversation in motion at the end of our session in Austin with TIADA, I asked the audience as they were heading home and on their drive and fly home, I said, ask yourself, do you own your business or does your business own you? And so it's a kind of a harsh way to think about the kind of in a macro level. What we're asking folks to think about on a more micro level now is like, let's talk about today. Let's talk about Monday the 1st. And what could we do as dealers, owners, managers to better manage what's happening?
Well, and part of this is because those of you guys who listen to us, we're always talking about, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? And that a lot of you are working in your business. You're spending, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. It's just one thing after another, pulling you one direction or another. And what we're going to try to do is help you carve out the time to work on your business, even if it's just a small amount of time every week.
Yeah. And one little case in point that happens with Michelle and myself a lot of times, we'll hear from dealers that say, man, we could really use some help. We're going to schedule an appointment with you guys. And we really want to try to, get some help from outside and find out what an engagement with you might look like, or whatever. And then they can't show up for the meeting. Like,
and we have to reschedule 3 or 4 times because stuff happens.
So,
and we get it. And, it's that's not about us complaining about that happening. It's just a real thing out there.
And when it becomes persistent, then, it starts to naturally look like a pattern. And one of the things I would say is that, having also, in addition to Buy Here, Pay Here and the car business, I was also in the retail business before that. One of the things I've always said about the retail business, it's just the nature of the business that we're in is that when you post your hours and you have your doors open certain days of the week, it's going to happen that people you don't know what's going to walk through the door next. You don't know what issue, what customers, what sale or deal is going to walk through the door. You don't know. There are parts of your day that are not knowable. I first heard that.
Not knowable.
Yeah. I first heard that back in Desert Storm. What was the guy anyway? The guy who was the defense secretary used to use that word. Anyway,
I'm sure someone out there listening is going to remember.
Yeah. But anyway, the idea is that there's certain things you can't predict. And because of that, we have to even better manage the time that we do set aside. And so this is, there are multiple ways to get there. I certainly want to talk to folks as we move into this conversation in the month of August. I want to certainly talk about what I call weekly initiatives. You've heard me introduce that with several clients, and let me kind of tell the backstory on that. I came up with that phrase. I started using that terminology way back in around 2001. And I was, a young consultant working with dealers across the country. And I was struggling to find a way to help them because the conversations, we had this weekly service that we provide them and get on the phone call with dealers and managers, and we would try to, identify things and try to make a difference. But the conversations were getting really tired. They were just same stuff every week, pointing out the same stuff. Nothing
Same
really
problems.
changes. And I'm thinking, why are you paying us to get in here to talk about the same problems? This has been like this for months or as long as I've known you. Like, why are we doing this? Why are you paying me to tell you the stuff that never gets fixed? So I started this thing we called weekly initiatives, and I would create a weekly initiative. We would work in cooperation with the dealer and the manager, and we would identify one thing. And that's what I'm asking us to think about doing today with our Monday. And there will be other things, of course, that we want to do, but we want to think about as we go through the idea of how to do this weekly initiative. It's more in the context of how do we pick something, tackle it, get it knocked out, and it's a small piece. It's like that, eating an elephant thing. It's to take on one bite. We're going to take one bite. We're going to make sure we get that thing done. And then we're going to move on to the next thing next week.
So part of, I know that there's a lot of dealers out there. It's like, oh man, I would love to, just can't find the time. I would love to, even if it's a small thing. Oh my gosh, how much would it help me to do X? I just don't have the time.
Right.
And so there's actually, we typically don't do homework.
Yeah.
But we're going to challenge y'all.
Y'all,
I've been in
it's been in
Texas quite a bit. We're going to challenge y'all to think about this during the week. And those of you who are up to the challenge for our Seize the Day Manager Monday spotlight for this month, is to do some kind of informal journal of all of the things, the tasks that you do during the day, like any given normal day. The intent of this is that we're trying to help you carve out 1 or 2 hours a week. If you can do 1 hour a day, that's, all the better, but like a couple of hours a week that you can carve out to start working on your business, instead of just working in your business. And it's like, this applies to dealers, frankly. Jim loves it when I use that word, frankly. I actually got him using it a while ago. We see dealers from all different portfolio sizes, how long they've been in business, all of this that all struggle with working on their business. I mean, I can't tell you how many dealer 20 group dealers that we know that they're like established, and they love going to the 20 groups. They walk away with just this long hit list of things to improve their business by. And then they come back and they're like, we're going to do it, and this is going to be awesome. And then 3 months later, they go to their next meeting and not a single thing on that list has been tackled. Not a single needle has been moved. And it's not because of the enthusiasm or recognizing it, the dealer recognizing these things could help my business, is that their business is running them. And that there are small, we're going to try to help you in these next, like there's 5 Mondays in August. We're going to try to help you carve out, just an hour or 2 a week. And so regardless of how long you've been in business, whether it's been, a year, or if it's been 20 or 30 years, just kind of think about it. If you could carve out an hour or 2 a week just to work on something that's going to improve your business, how much better would your business be? That book, Atomic Habits, really talks about that. And like I said, a good book, Atomic Habits, James Clear, where when you change one thing in your day and make it a habit, and it's all about habit stacking. And it's just really a fantastic book, but you change one little thing in your day, and then you track the progress of that one little thing changing over the course of a month or a year. And the needle is massively changed because it scales into, how you've gotten better. in whatever it is. I mean, it can be something as simple as, um, I want to remember to exercise more.
Mhm.
And so I really like taking a walk when I get home from work or whatever. And so you're putting your gym shoes right next to the door for
Mhm.
the moment that you get home, that you're going to, it's like it's stacking something that's, you sit
Mhm.
down, you take off your dress shoes. Well, I'm going to put on my gym shoes and I'm going to go for a walk
Right.
or whatever. So, Atomic Habits, really, really great. And so
Tommy just ordered it.
Tommy just ordered
Good
it.
call, Tommy.
Good. Only $11 hardback on Amazon. I think that you can also, those of you who like to listen, if you've got a commute or whatever, that's a one I believe it's on Audible. And I think that the author actually read that.
Right.
Um,
And so we know a lot of you didn't tune in on Monday to get beat up. Like, we're picking on you this morning. And so it's, this is really this is part of what we do, frankly, as advisors. Is part of our
Mhm.
job is to identify, what might be a breakdown. And sometimes we recognize that it is in the management, the day-to-day management, and we know there are solutions. So what we're going to try to do is not just pick on you this morning. If you're in that group, you're in that group, you're struggling with that. And so we're going to offer you some really great tips in the month of August, and we're going to ask you to tune in on Mondays, and we're going to take you inside some very real tips. So the first one, as we said, is let's start with a list. And so where I'm going with that, we want to make sure that when we create this list of all the things that you find yourself doing,
yeah,
on
and
a
it's
daily and a
little things.
weekly.
It's like I got to go to the bank, I got to go, to make deposits. I got to go.
You have to review my aged inventory
I have to review my
reports,
agent inventory. All of the things.
put them all on the list.
All on the list. And so, I mean, just like the smallest, like the daily and or the weekly things
Put a
that you
little
do.
star by the ones that you feel like only you can do.
Okay, and there's there's a caveat to that. So and this is something that Jim and I have also had some challenge with as we continue to grow. That there are certain things that we know. Oh my gosh, it would be so lovely if we had someone that could help us with X.
Mhm.
And we may have the ability to bring someone in to handle X, but the problem is we have to train X.
Mhm.
And training X is it's just, I just might as well do it.
Mhm.
I just might as well do it myself, knowing full well. And I think all of you dealers out there in dealer land can think of at least one thing that it's like, if I could get that off my plate, and
Mhm.
it's something someone else can do, but I've kind of like owned it, and I haven't taken the time or whatever to be able to teach someone else how to do it. So, that there's always one X. Well, even if what we're doing is we're carving out the time
Mhm.
for you to be able to take that person and train them, or to do a video to train them or something like that. So we'll be getting to that, but try to find, what are the things you do every day, and like put the star next to the things, like Jim said, that could be delegated.
Yeah, well, some of this you're talking about, oh man, I don't want to, I would have to train somebody. But there's another part of this is just, it's a simple, control element. Like, we just simply have a
Mhm.
hard time letting go of control of that thing. And, it reminds me always of somebody I worked with years ago who I was developing as a manager.
Mhm.
And they just felt like they had to touch every customer, and felt like and they were really great with customers, right? So you can understand why they felt like that was their strength and their talent. But I can look at that from the over on the sidelines and say that stunts our growth.
Mhm.
We cannot grow in the way that we're capable of growing so long as you take that approach to day-to-day management. Because if
Mhm.
you don't develop your people to do the same thing, to do what it is that you're trying to do, because if they can't do it, then let's find somebody else. And if they can't do it and only you can do it, we're just really limited in our growth.
Oh, absolutely. Or if you're carving out that hour to 2 hours a week, those 1 to 2 hours a week, you are training your people how to touch like you do.
Yeah. Well, let's
And
just, and
yeah.
let's not race too far ahead here.
Yeah.
Let's recognize that our first job that we're going to ask everybody
Mhm.
to think about doing with them, their list this week, is just for this coming week. And we hope you'll rejoin us again next Monday morning. And we want to talk about what you discovered, of course, in going
Yeah.
through that list. But for this week, start with the list of all the
Just
things.
the list. It's baby steps. And that's, I want to touch on that just a second.
Mhm.
You know, those of you who have been watching what Jim and I have been doing over the course of the last couple of years, and it's interesting when people that have been watching are like, "Oh my gosh, you guys have created and done so much." And what do we attribute that to? It is like every day, even if it is a slight shuffle, we're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving forward on doing something to better ourselves and our business. Even if that's a little moving forward where it's only a task that an hour for the
Mhm.
week that
Yeah.
is moving us forward, moving that needle forward.
Right.
And it just I read this thing the other day, Facebook. I watch or pay attention way too much to Facebook. But you get some great memes and
Right. And fun jokes.
and fun
Yeah.
jokes. Oh my gosh. It was oh my god. You know what? I'm just having a senior moment here right
Oh
now.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fill
Well,
in the
let
gap,
me
Jim.
jump in here
Okay.
and comment on Amanda. You took the comment down, but Amanda
You can pop that in.
Sanchez said that she enjoys. She's finding it really useful to use Loom in recording videos, and we're going to talk
And
a lot about that,
scribing them.
Amanda, in the
Mhm.
coming weeks here. We're going to talk a lot about how to, train and transfer, certain functions over to other
Mhm.
people. So we're going to get into the actual, functions of that and kind of some methods to hand off. Somebody's been watching the queso tour.
It's not cheese dip.
That's what started the whole thing. We were in Utah where it's basically cheese dip. They're just serving you a
Sorry,
bowl of cheese.
we are all over the place this morning.
No, yes,
Sorry, everybody.
but yeah, so in Texas it's queso, and they dress it up with
It's not
peppers.
queso, it's queso.
Queso, if you're Spanish.
It's queso. I've learned this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, that's kind of where you're going to see us go in the month of August. Is we want to have a chance to help. We sound like we're picking on you this morning, and some of our listeners, and in reality, if you think about it, what we're really trying to do here is give you some very real solutions to get control of your day. That was said to me way back in early management, like, are you running your day,
or is your
day running you?
Mhm.
And some of us know exactly what that means. It's like, and it's the nature of retail, there's going to be a certain amount of your day that's unpredictable, which means we have to be really effective with the parts of the day that we can control.
Mhm.
And that's about taking control of the calendar, taking control of the schedule. Sometimes that might mean a closed door for 2 hours and your people have to figure stuff out, while
Oh,
you're in a
yeah.
meeting.
Oh,
There
yeah.
can be any number of solutions here, but let's say for this week, we're asking you to just think about start the list.
Start the list of daily things that you do and weekly things potentially too that you do. Just write the list, because
Mhm.
it's going to be, as we dive into this, it's going to be about delegation. And it's
Mhm.
going to be also about combining things.
Right.
And then stacking different pieces of what you do during the day that make more sense, that will free up time.
Yeah. And we get it. Everybody understands the concept of the value of delegating work. Like, we understand that's part of how we grow, yet it's such a fundamental idea, yet we see so many people struggle to do it. And so the question becomes, why? What's the limitation? What's the barrier?
Can I speak to that?
Please.
One thing, and I am all for, and so many dealers are fantastic at, they just like are creating something out of nothing, and you have to have a certain level of ego. And like, I can do this.
Oh no, she
kind of
used the
thing.
ego word.
I know, the ego word. And ego can be such a beautiful thing,
Mhm.
but ego can also get in your way.
Yep.
And so the whole idea of only I can,
Mhm.
I think that's when we go through this exercise, that's going to be like, let's really look at that. And
Yeah.
is that true? Is it really, really true?
Yeah, and I wrote an article about ego, and I recognize that you have to tread lightly here because look, ego is what drives a lot of car dealers. I mean, it's like the nature of the business. We're type A individuals, many of our dealer clients, and that's the nature of it. And when I talked about ego in this article, I basically said, look, ego is not a 4-letter word. It's not like it's something
It's
we all
3.
use to navigate life. Yeah, it's 3. Good job, honey.
I could count.
Yeah.
It's all on one hand, so I'm good.
Right. So basically with that, it's not a negative word. It's just that we have to understand when it becomes negative is when we let it cloud our judgment in business
Mhm.
decision making.
Mhm.
That's when it becomes the thing. And so if we can, manage our ego and use it to help us, be successful, great. But when it starts to cloud our judgment because we think we're the only ones that can do it, we think we have to outrun the competition, whatever, that's a different subject. But it's like that's when ego starts to become a problem. And so we have to just recognize that that's what's happening and be prepared to manage it. So yeah, I think this is where we try to go with the topic of the month, is to just basically say, we know that it's possible to chip away at this, learn some new habits. And Dave
Mhm.
Martin, I did see, or David Norton rather, I saw your comments there, and I think you're right. I've heard different numbers on that. He said it takes 21 days to create a habit. I've heard about human beings that it's more like 45 or more. Either way, it does take a good while to
And
establish
it
a
takes a
habit.
very little time to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's part of the fun of the month of August this year is having 5 Mondays would let's start the month fresh, and let's use August as a let's turn some tables in the month of August. Let's create some new habits. And we want to work with our folks out there who are listening and tuning in. And we ask you to, share this, and let's bring other people to the conversation.
And it doesn't
People
matter.
need to hear it.
Have you been in business 3 months? Have you been in business 30 years?
Right.
That everyone is going to benefit from doing this kind of practice.
Yeah. So invite people to join our Monday broadcast, and obviously they can pick it up after as an archive, because most people are busy on Monday mornings.
Yeah, I think that we talked about on the podcast, to make them more searchable, that we're going to be like calling this the Buy Here Pay Here morning show, Manager Mondays, or Monday Manager, or something like that, so that people can find it and just
find the management track.
Find the management track, kind of like how we do White Hat Wednesday.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's all good stuff. We definitely recognize that there's a need here, and it's an opportunity for us to work together. And we hope that people can see that we're about helping dealers get better. And so this is an area that, whether it's a, top manager, sales manager, dealer principal, most of us can benefit from this idea. So again, we think as we move into this idea of weekly initiative, I had a lot of success with that. And I didn't finish explaining that, 20 years ago when I used that approach, it worked with dealers that had been long established, long kind of in a plateau in their business. And I just started picking something. Each week we would work with the team and what do you want to see fixed? And we would focus on, maybe this week it's delinquency. Maybe next week it's aged inventory. And we would focus on it. We would set these targets that were meant to be achieved at least 80% of the time. And so we would knock them out, and, you would knock out another one the week after, and you'd knock out another one. And next thing you know, you look up, and in 2 to 3 months, your numbers are changing.
Small needles.
Yeah.
You shift that just a little bit,
and suddenly your business is improving. And it's all just because we started taking those small bites. And so this is what you'll hear us move into as we move through the month of August. So again, our assignment, our challenge for today, for week number 1 in August, is to create that list. Start making that list, and as things come up, and you throughout your week, you're going to recognize the things that you find yourself involved in. You're going to also indicate those things that you currently either believe only you can do, or you haven't currently trained anybody else to do it, so they fall onto your plate. And I think you can start to see, fast forward, what does it look like in your dealership if you go away on vacation for 2 weeks? Can you do that? And if you can't, why? What's the barrier there?
Let's figure out how to make that happen for everybody. So before we close up, just a couple of things. I want to thank Bill Elizondo. He sent us a list of all of the organization dates
Thanks for that, Bill.
Thank you for the different conferences. And it looks like we have the Carolinas IADA on the 4th through the 6th.
Yep. This week.
And then there's it's the season for golf tournaments. I love golf. Never keep score.
Yeah, no, we don't.
We don't keep score. So we're not someone that you would want to have necessarily in a tournament unless it's for laughs.
Yeah, and my problem with those scorecards, they have a really limited amount of space on there. I don't have enough room to mark all the strokes. Like there's
So
not enough
it's
room.
like we might be able to do the closest to the pin thing, but the rest of it is
Yeah,
out the
yeah,
freaking window.
right.
So we're not trying to pitch for an invitation to any of those, but there's lots and lots of golf tournaments. But there is also the Mississippi convention as well, is right after the Carolinas. Theirs is the 5th through the 7th. So if you live in either the Carolinas or Mississippi, reach out to your state organizations because they're doing their conference. And oh my gosh, if there is anything that we are going to heavily pitch every time we can, is join your state organization. That
Right.
is, it's if there's anything that we can pitch, join your state organization.
Put that check in your stack of payables.
Yep, it's so little
Write it immediately.
every year. It's one payment for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's one car
payment, you mean.
payment is your yearly
Mhm.
dues, which is absolutely nothing. So yeah, both Carolinas and Mississippi coming up.
Mhm.
And then soft pitch.
Oh,
Guys, those of you guys that know us out there, this kind of thing where we're trying to move needles and we're trying to help dealers be better. If it's something you want some help in tackling,
mhm.
give us a holler. We can help with that as well, but we're going to try to give you all the tools here on the morning show for this, that you can do it yourself.
Right.
And sometimes I know there are dealers out there that need an accountability partner or someone that can help
Mhm.
give them ideas to help move the needle. And that's some of the stuff that we do. Or if you've got a great mentor or 20 group, that's another place you can go.
Sure.
As we continue on with this Manager Monday, Seize the Day.
Right. Yeah, we
for the
appreciate
month
you
of
tuning
August.
in. We welcome your feedback. I can see that Amanda Sanchez is fired up. She likes the concept,
Uh-huh.
and so that's cool. We're glad to have that support. And then, just please invite other dealers to join us as we go through this. They can catch today's episode will be available on YouTube within a few hours, and then
Tomorrow it will be available on the syndicated podcast.
right, all your podcast channels. That's your Spotify.
So yeah, if you guys want content like immediately, it's either going to be in the Facebook groups or on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so go on YouTube channel and you just have to like and subscribe, and then it's going to hit your inbox. You're going to see that something new has dropped.
So dealers, add that to your list of things that you do this week, which is subscribe to the YouTube channel. Right? That goes on my list.
Like and subscribe.
Right.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic week. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for our White Hat Wednesday.
Right.
We're going to be talking about how dealers can be just better.
Mm-hmm.
And hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. If there's anything we can do, reach out.